I will take that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
Yes or no, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Right out of the gate, you can see exactly what this was. Not a hearing, not oversight, pre-scripted ambush. A Democrat congresswoman playing courtroom cosplay, trying to turn a serious foreign policy witness into a viral punching bag. This wasn't about answers, it was about humiliation. A seasoned American diplomat sat there while she read accusations like a prosecutor who already decided the verdict. If you're sick of political theater pretending to be accountability, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
Mr. Adams, in 1991, you pleaded guilty to 2 counts of withholding information from Congress regarding your involvement in the Iran-Contra affair, for which you were later pardoned by President George H.W. Bush. I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I can respond to that.
It wasn't a question.
That
was not a question. I reserve the right to my time.
It is not right.
That was not a question.
Committee can attack
on February 8th,
who is not permitted to reply.
That was not a question. Thank you for your participation. On February 8th, 1982, you testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about U.S. policy in El Salvador. In that hearing, you dismissed as communist propaganda report about the massacre of El Mozote, in which more than 800 civilians, including children as young as 2 years old, were brutally murdered by U.S.-trained troops. During that massacre, some of those troops bragged about raping a 12-year-old girl before they killed them. Girls before they killed them. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Yes or no, do you still think so?
From the day that President Duarte was elected in a free election to this day, El Salvador has been a democracy. That's a fabulous achievement.
Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
yes or no?
No.
I will take that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
Yes or no, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Whether under your watch, a genocide will take place, and you will look the other way because American interests were being upheld, is a fair question. Because the American people want to know that anytime we engage a country, that we think about what our actions could be and how we believe our values are being furthered. That is my question. Will you make sure that human rights are not violated and that we uphold international and human rights?
I suppose there is a question in there, and the answer is that the entire thrust of American policy in Venezuela is to support the Venezuelan people's effort to restore democracy to their country. That's our policy.
I don't think anybody disputes that. The question I had for you is that does the interest of the United States include protecting human rights and include protecting people against genocide?
That is always the position of the United States.
Now that you've seen the whole thing, let's call it exactly what it was. A show trial disguised as a hearing. Elliott Abrams didn't walk into a good faith inquiry. He walked into a Democrat hit job where the questions were designed not to inform, but to smear. Yes or no? Over and over again, because when you reduce decades of complex foreign policy into a toddler-level format, you're not looking for truth, you're hunting for a soundbite. Abrams handled it exactly the way a serious statesman should. Calm, composed, refusing to dignify absurd, loaded questions that were dripping with moral grandstanding. And he was right to do it. Asking whether a massacre was a fabulous achievement isn't a question. It's an accusation with a camera attached. The actual point he made, which Democrats intentionally pretended not to understand, was about the survival of democracy in El Salvador. But nuance is inconvenient when outrage is the product being sold. And let's talk about the hypocrisy on full display. A congresswoman lecturing about human rights while engaging in character assassination, cutting off answers, and openly admitting she doesn't want responses, just her time to speak. That's not accountability. That's ego. That's activism masquerading as governance. She wasn't interested in Venezuela, policy, or outcomes. She was interested in performance. Clap lines, headlines, clips for social media. What makes this worse is the sheer disrespect for the office she holds. The United States Congress is not a stage for moral theater. It's a place where serious people are supposed to do serious work. Abrams showed up prepared to discuss American policy and democratic restoration. He was met with accusations, insinuations, and bad faith traps. And every time he refused to play along, it only exposed the weakness of the attack. This is why Republicans keep winning these exchanges. One side argues reality, history, and national interest. The other side argues vibes, outrage, and accusations. Elliott Abrams didn't lose control because he didn't need to. The questions collapsed under their own dishonesty. And what you just watched wasn't bravery or accountability. It was a warning sign of how unserious and dangerous our politics become when spectacle replaces substance.